A company called Bluegen has officially entered the exclusive club of dual-screen e-readers. This club is in fact so exclusive you could count the number of devices on one hand. Way back when e-readers were incepted, there was a device called the Entourage Edge, which basically kicked off the subsector of dual-screen units. Following that, the Guido was a dual-screen 13.3-inch music tablet, and then moving on to the Lenovo C930 Yoga Book, which the bottom e-paper screen could actually be used as a keyboard. So what is the OKPad? It features a tablet on the top called the SL1069, which is pulled from a pretty vanilla tablet, all things considered. The bottom consists of essentially an Onyx Books Nova 2 screen. This isn't the latest screen technology either, so there's no Carta 1300 here, unfortunately. So by its nature, it is a hodgepodge that makes up what this device is. But that's not to say that that is a bad thing. They have taken two things, put them together in a beautiful aluminum housing, sandwiched them using high quality hinges, tossed on some fit and finish, and called it a day. And what came of that is a PC laptop looking setup with an everything under the hood layout with Wacom, Google Play, and basically aside from the fact that it weighs a whopping 800 grams, which they call feather light, is a pretty good overall package. So when diving in, let's look at the screens separately and then together, starting with the LCD side. The LCD side of things is pretty standard. It's your everyday tablet. It has Google Play, it has all of your applications, search in apps, your camera, and a bunch of preloaded Google services. If you swipe down from the top, you get all of your features, your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, do not disturb, battery saver, etc. You can go over to the settings and change a bunch of these as you see fit. It's pretty much an everyday kind of simple Android tablet. If you go to About Phone, you'll see that it is only running Android 10. It's a little bit outdated, but worry not, this can be mitigated by and fixed by a simple update in the future, which I hope they build into their kind of tiered crowdfunding milestones. You have location services, security, all of your sound and display settings right there, so it's a pretty traditional tablet, all things considered. Unfortunately, when it comes to the top screen, there is no Wacom whatsoever, so any sort of pens will not work on there. Yes, you can use things like capacitive pens, but capacitive pens aren't special. It's literally just simulating your fingertip, and it won't do anything special outside of that, so there's no active capacitive or Wacom on the top layer. Now they do have two proprietary apps, which is Handwritten Notepad, which we'll show you later on the bottom screen, and you have Ink App Setting. What this will allow you to do is choose which apps will be in your e-ink device down below only, and then all of your apps. You can add these as you see fit by clicking edit, you can exit out or add it back, and that would respectively put it to the top, which will mean that it is on the e-ink panel or not. Click OK to apply. So now, for example, we have Google Play Books on the top, which gives us access to everything in terms of an ecosystem and available manga, graphic novels, books, audiobooks, etc., except we can now use that on the bottom screen, which we're going to move into right now because honestly there's not too much else on this unit. It is a pretty traditional kind of slapped together black slab with a gloss screen and black bezels and a front facing webcam, so there's not much there to really point out, and overall it is a fairly just standard Android experience. Sliding this on up, we get to the part that we need to check out pronto, which is the bottom e-ink screen. This is a 7.8-inch screen. When it comes to the actual EPD, which is the panel, you do have an outer bezel and a furthermore, an even more out bezel. Now there is a major problem, you could even say a glaring problem with this e-paper side, is that it is heavily reflective. It does not really show the attributes of a traditional e-paper screen because of the fact that it is almost a mirror finish. You can see the light is not being diffused or refracted, instead just being straight up reflective. So in terms of the e-paper screen itself, it is exhibiting something more along the lines of a Xiaomi Ink Palm, which has a glass screen instead of having a anti-glare layer. You could put an additional layer of an anti-glare screen protector on top, but that's just going to add more layers in front of your eyes and the viewable surface. In terms of the UI, there really isn't any. It's just this. You have that, and that. These are your ink applications, this is your calendar, and this is my note list with new and list. If you long press these things, nothing really happens. You can just long press these all day and you can't move the cards or anything like that. Now you do have some action buttons here, which is a home button and a back button. You also have a toggle button, which is going to allow you to turn off all the screens as you see fit. So you can turn off the bottom one, the top one, etc. So it'll cycle between those. You also get a webcam here, which will show you in a little bit. Now the pen. This is a traditional Wacom pen, and there's nothing too amazing about it because it's the same one that's been used since 2013, 2014. So it's going on a decade old. It has an eraser at the back, a traditional tip that Remarkable uses, that Fujitsu uses, Amazon, Kindle Scribe, everyone uses that tip, and a side button. If you don't like that pen, you don't have to use that pen. You can use any pen on the market, like the Books Nova Air 2 pen or anything else that runs Wacom. So you can buy Remarkable 2 marker signature and use it on this. When it comes to the UI, as we said, there's nothing there. There's no drop downs, there's no sidecars, there's no news feed, nothing like that. Let's look at note taking before we go into applications. This is a pretty simple note taking app. You literally just start it up like that. You click new and then it opens up. Shading isn't what you think it is, it's actually the backdrop. Choose shading. So you choose solid horizontal line, blank paper, or dotted line. And that's really it. You get 3 shadings, which are templates. If you choose stroke width, you get 3 line widths. And unfortunately, you don't get any pressure sensitivity. So if I press very lightly or very hard, it is the exact same line on all of those. So unfortunately, there's no pressure sensitivity, although the eraser works pretty well, I must say. You do have eraser as well, which has the thickness of eraser, and you can't use the front tip, which is a little bit of a problem because that means you need an eraser on the back. What I mean by that is if we go like this and use a 70 size eraser, I can't erase anything because I don't have an eraser on this pen. So the pen you use must have an eraser, which is a reverse polarity, so that it will remove the particles instead of adding the particles. From there you get undo, redo, add page, which adds to the next page, 2 out of 2, and then more. More will give you clear this page, save notes as, and delete note. That is it when it comes to the note-taking experience. There's no side elements, you can't open up any palettes, and there's no further kind of features anywhere that will expand into giving you more functionality. When it comes to the note-taking feel, it's pretty paltry. It is very smooth and glossy because this is using the same top coat cover as this. So whether you're drawing on the LCD side, which you can't do, or this side, it's the same feel. So with that, you get a very glass-like experience, which is very akin to drawing on a smartphone. You don't get any of the advantage of using the tips they give you, which is a graphite composite. Instead, you're better off using the tips they give you in the secondary box, which are the palm plastic, because you're not looking for writing feel. There's no reverberation, there's no vibration, there's no feedback through the pen like you would get on a Fujitsu, where you get a level of grittiness on the page. All of that is really just lost. It's a very numb experience, and there's no pressure sensitivity to take any account for how hard you press or shading or anything like that. In fact, the angle doesn't really work that well because it kind of cuts out on you if you go at an extreme angle. So the note-taking experience definitely needs one of those crowdfunding milestones to get an update, because with an added palette up top, we're looking at a pretty robust experience if we had different pen drop downs, perhaps some different color variations and things like that. But all of that can be fixed with a simple software update in the future. I really like the fact that you can have both screens on at the same time. So as you can see here, I have my top screen on. I can do anything I want. I can go Google Play, I can go camera, I can go web browser, and that's all good. Now I move it down to the bottom, and they're not connected, the two screens, which is good and bad. It's good because it gives you two separate experiences, but it's bad because there's no synergy. There's no keyboard or anything like that that you can use on the top screen. So it really is just like having two separate devices that are stuck together. Well, with that being said, I can now go to my bottom screen and use it like an e-reader. So I can go to all of the things that I have on my unit, your books, I can get my manga, I can get my books, I can get my editorials, basically anything I want, and I can download it straight to my unit. So I still have my top experience open. Like I said right there, I can go and play games. I can have a passive kind of autoplay game happening on the top, and I have my bottom unit like this so I can read my manga. And the beauty about Google Play Manga, I might add, is if you double tap on the speech bubbles, they actually expand and they don't zoom in. They're a separate rendered image that is perfectly keyed out, so it doesn't get blurry. It just gets bigger and clearer. So it's actually quite nice. Remember, this is a 7.8-inch screen when it comes to the overall experience, so it's very nice how they give you that kind of e-reader / e-note feel just in a kind of sectioned off area. Now there is a downside. Because we don't have any of that UI elements, there's no way to speed this up, aka speed modes. I don't have speed, I don't have A2, I don't have clear, I don't have normal, I don't have anything to make this quicker. It is just going to be as slow as this. Could they add something in the future? Absolutely they can. A simple UI element would allow someone to be able to choose from a top drop down all of their speed modes, which is critical when it comes to ebook readers and e-notes. Going over to a book, this will be the final thing, because that is what e-readers are all about, reading books. And one of the coolest things about this design-wise is you can press this button to turn off this panel, sandwich it closed, not worry about having to interact with the back, and now use this as an ebook reader. You've turned it entirely into an e-reader with no LCD panel active. Alternatively, you can press this button, turn off the e-ink screen, and you see that the back screen is now a standalone tablet without you worrying about touching the back. The reading experience is fine, but unfortunately there's no glow light, which is more bad than good. It is good because that means the screen is closer to the surface, although they've kind of destroyed that by having this huge tablet top coat layer on it, which protects the unit, I will admit, but it is a little bit more detrimental to the reading experience. Not only is there a huge drop shadow now that I can't get a flat screen experience, you'll see the drop shadow there, it almost feels like the screen is further away from you. It is still, of course, as we showed earlier, that level of reflectivity. So you can see the film lights in the shot here. It is just very reflective. So it does more detriment than benefits to having this glass layer on top to make it feel like a tablet, but use an e-paper screen. But they're not taking advantage of any of the e-paper elements to it, because it really should have some sort of glow light if they're going to put this top coat layer, or at least have some speed modes so I can maybe change the way it looks like. I can change it into Regal, I can change it into HD, I maybe have IMG 256 on there to make everything nice and smooth. But this really was more of just an accessory annex screen rather than the primary screen. The OKPad is honestly pretty solid, both literally and figuratively speaking. Despite their advertisement of arbitrarily deciding 800 grams is light, it is incredibly heavy and feels more like a PC desktop appliance rather than something on the go. The hinges are incredibly tight and everything is built flawlessly. The bezels are the largest we've seen south of the Mississippi, but it does have Google Play and a Wacom layer on the e-paper screen. Every con is outclassed by a pro in the end, and there's more good about this than bad. It does overall lack a little bit of synergy between the two screens, as it almost just feels like there's two individual devices stuck together. But in the end, the OKPad is definitely more than just okay.